Three died and a number of houses and farmlands destroyed in Zamfara deadly downpour. President Buhari receives gold and precious stones from Governor Matawale. Federal government releases 14.9 billion naira for retirees' accrued right on business. Small and medium enterprises have been described as engine of economy. And on the international scene, Mali talks end with no decision on transitional government. Hello and welcome to Svtv News. I am Musa Joy Unyoza. No fewer than 3 persons have been feared dead as a heavy downpour overtook many parts of Gusau's Zamfara state capital on Sunday night. The Post reported that at Gidankara in Rijia district of Gusau, flood washed away 2 people during the downpour that lasted for over 5 hours. According to the district head of Gidankara, Malam Umar Ibrahim, many of his subjects have been rendered homeless as a result of the heavy rainfall, pointing out that property worth millions of naira were destroyed. He lamented that the situation was very terrible and fearful as the heavy rainfall left many villagers in uncontrollable tears. Malam Ibrahim explained that the affected people are now squatting with their relations and friends in Gusau, Kaura, and many other places in the state. The district head appealed to Gusau Local Government Council and the state government to, as a matter of urgency, construct standard roads and drainage in the area to alleviate the plight of the people. He noted that the immediate past administration led by Alhaji Abdulaziz Yari awarded a contract of road constructions and drainage in the area, which was started but later abandoned by the contractor for the reasons best known to him. Bandits have released the guard and 4 children of Zamfara State former Commissioner Alhaji Bello Gamji after collecting 5 million naira. The former commissioner told our correspondent on Monday that the children were released on Sunday and had been taken to the Federal Medical Center, Gusau, to ascertain their health condition. He said although they all look healthy, they find it necessary to take them to the hospital, considering the nature of the place where they were kept by the bandits. He thanked all those who sympathized with the family and also thanked the security agents for their concern. It could be recalled that the former commissioner's children and his guard were kidnapped by bandits last Tuesday and demanded a sum of 10 million naira for their release. Emir of Ankara, Zamfara State, Alhaji Tahiru Ahmed Mohammed, had called on policy makers both at the local, state, and federal level to formulate policy that will ensure development, empowerment, and well-being of youth, women, and children in the country. The Emir made the call in a chat with newsmen in Gusau, Zamfara State on Sunday. He added that most women in the north are ignorant of the right of their co-wives in a polygamous home, explaining that it is Islam that gives the man right to marry more than one wife and mandated him as head of the family to ensure that justice and equity prevail among them and their children. He lamented that some of the women maltreat and to some extent unleash barbaric punishment on the children of the co-wives in cases of divorce, death, and other reasons which makes their mothers no longer live with the family. Hundreds of people yesterday in Svtv local government area decamped from the People's Democratic Party (PDP) to the All Progressives Congress (APC). Our correspondent who was at the occasion reported a number of them also changed their loyalty from the G8 group to the Alhaji Abdulaziz Yari faction of the APC. The ceremony was presided over by the former chairman of Svtv local government area, Alhaji Aliu MC.
A madadin mai girma jagoran wannan jam'iyya a wannan jiha, Dr. Abdulaziz Yari Abubakar, shugaban wannan jam'iyya a wannan mataki na wannan karamar hukuma, ya karbi wa'annan bayan Allah wa'anda suka dawo suka daidaita sahu suka shigo wannan jam'iyya ta mu mai albarka.
The decamps were drawn from different wards which made up of the local government. Our correspondent Philip Peter observed that the ceremony was impressive as most of the participants were sitting in a very happy mood. President Muhammadu Buhari receives the Executive Governor of Zamfara State, Alhaji Bello Mohammed Matawale, who presents some gold bars and some precious stones from the state to the President at the Presidential Villa State House, Abuja, on Monday night. The attention of the Secretary to the State Government, Alhaji Bala Bello Maru, has been drawn to a news story carried by some online media attributing to his person a directive by His Excellency Governor Bello Matawale Marado that Islamic calendar be enforced in the state. Indeed, the Secretary to the government was at the launching of this year's Islamic calendar, which was held in Gusau on Sunday, 23rd August 2020. He equally participated in the launching, which was attended by many dignitaries from across the state. However, he made no announcement to the effect that the directive was given by Governor Bello Matawale Maradun to enforce Islamic calendar in the state. He was either quoted out of context or mischievously attributed to that piece of information. Nigeria has crossed the 1,000 mark of death as a result of the COVID-19 virus. Minister of State, Federal Ministry of Health, Dr. Olorunbe Mamora, said this during the COVID-19 Presidential Task Force briefing in Abuja. He said there is need to improve on healthcare delivery in its entirety in the nation and in particular care for COVID-19 victims. Dr. Mamora acknowledged that healthcare is not the only challenge we face as a country, hence the need to strengthen all facets of the health sector. He also stated that Nigeria will receive its polio immunization certificate this week, which will make Nigeria polio-free. The federal government has disbursed 14.92 billion naira for the payment of accrued rights for retirees under the contributory pension scheme. The National Pension Commission revealed this on Monday in a statement entitled Federal Government Releases 14.92 billion naira for accrued rights for CPS retirees. It stated that the amount will cover 4 months' arrears. The accrued pension rights represent an employee's benefit for the past years of service up to June 2004, when the Pension Reform Act that bettered the CPS came into effect. The Commission appreciates the effort of the federal government at ensuring that the accrued rights arrears are cleared and thank the affected retirees of the Treasury-funded agency for their patience. The Sultan of Sokoto, Saad Abubakar, held a closed-door meeting with the Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai on Monday. The Sultan's delegation arrived at the Kaduna State Government House around 12:20 p.m. He was received by top government officials of the state before going into a closed-door meeting with the governor. The meeting lasted about 50 minutes, and at the end of the meeting, the governor escorted the Sultan to his vehicle and left. The Sultan entered his black sports utility vehicle and left without addressing journalists around 1:30 p.m. It was not clear if the Sultan's visit is connected with the controversy surrounding the withdrawal of the invitation to Mr. El-Rufai by the Nigerian Bar Association to attend their 2020 annual general conference. 3,200 residents of Zabarmari wards of the Jere local government area received food items from the hard-working committee of 17 members appointed by Governor Babagana Umar Zulum under the leadership of Agriculture Commissioner Engineer Bukar Talba. Governor Zulum had earlier flagged off the statewide palliative on Saturday, April 25, 2020 as part of measures to cushion the effect on lockdown imposed in the state to control the spread of coronavirus. The flagging off ceremony was conducted by Zulum himself, which started with IDP camps. Then the committee continued, which started with sharing food items at ward levels. Maiduguri Metropolitan Council with 15 wards have the highest number of beneficiaries. Nigeria's First Lady Aisha Buhari has come under criticism as she called for health care to be improved in the country. African Examiner reports that Aisha Buhari traveled to Dubai for treatment and returned on Saturday, enjoining healthcare providers to take the opportunity of the federal government 100 billion naira credit support for the health sector, as it will no doubt help in building and expanding the capacity of the Nigerian health sector and ultimately reduce medical trips and tourism outside the country. However, Twitter users described the statement of the First Lady as shameful and insulting, and others viewed it as insensitive. President Muhammadu Buhari has approved the composition of the Governing Council and appointment of the Executive Secretary of the National Commission for Persons with Disabilities in line with the Discrimination Against Persons with Disabilities Act 2019. According to the Act, the Commission shall be headed by the part-time chairman and 6 members who shall be persons with disabilities, representing the geopolitical zones of the Federation, subjected to confirmation of the Senate for a 4-year term of office in the first instance and may be reappointed for a second term of 4 years and no more. The Executive Secretary, who shall be responsible to the Council for the implementation of the policies and administration of the daily affairs of the Commission, shall also be a person with disability with a 5-year tenure in the first instance and may be reappointed for a second term or no more. Dr. Hussaini Suleiman Kanjua from Northwest is the chairman of the Commission, while Mr. James David Lalo from North Central will serve as Executive Secretary. Both Operator Happiness Elebuju has been arraigned by the Lagos State government before a high court in Ikeja for allegedly causing the death of 12 passengers while conveying them to their destination. The passengers drawn after the wave of a ship sailing along the Kirikiri waterfront made the boat to capsize. It was learned that 20 passengers boarded the boat from Kirikiri to Badagry. Halfway into the trip, the passengers disagreed with Mr. Eligible when he said the fare was 1,500 naira and they insisted on paying 1,200. Eligible was said to have switched off the craft by the waterfront due to the disagreement. The wave then made the boat to drift towards a stationary barge where it capsized, drawing 12 passengers. Alright, viewers, we're going to short commercial break, and when we come back, Standard Voice Television News continues. Welcome back on Business. Aguirita has more detail.
Welcome to Standard Voice Business Update. MTN describes small and medium enterprises as very critical to the survival of the economy, adding that it is committed to supporting its growth to enhance job creation and gross domestic product (GDP). As a demonstration of this, it has started a program which it believes could mitigate against the effects of COVID-19 on SMEs in line with the digital economic drive of the government, as exposed in the National Digital Economic Policy and Strategy, linked to empowering SMEs as an avenue for the diversification of the economy. Speaking at the virtual launch of the program, the Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Dr. Issa Patami, commended the telecom for supporting the digital economic drive of the country. This is on Voice Business Update. I'm Aguirita.
And on the international scene, talks between West African mediators and Mali's military co-leaders ended on Monday after 3 days of discussions without any decision on the makeup of a transitional government, a junta spokesman said. West Africa's regional bloc dispatched negotiators to Mali at the weekend in a bid to reverse President Ibrahim Keita's removal from power last week. But talks had focused on who would lead Mali and for how long, rather than the possibility of reinstating the president, diplomats said. The coup has raised the prospect of further political turmoil in Mali, which, like other countries in the region, is facing an expanding threat from militants. Ishmael Watch said mediators would report to regional head of state ahead of a summit on Mali this week, but highlighting the packing the soldiers enjoy. The final decision on the interim administration will be decided locally. Former Nigerian President Goodluck Jonathan, who led the regional mediation team, said they requested and were granted access to Mr. Keita. President Keita told us that he has resigned, that he was not forced to do so. Talks were taking place with the threat of regional sanctions hanging over the junta known as the National Committee for the Salvation of the People, still on the international scene. President Muhammadu Buhari on Monday in Abuja welcomed commendation by United Nations on effort to restore security, strengthen institutions against corruption, improve healthcare facilities, and rebuilding of the Multilateral Institutions Office, which was attacked by terrorists in 2011. The president, who received a delegation led by the UN resident coordinator in Nigeria, Mr. Edwin Callon, said reconstruction of UN building by the government was in full appreciation of the work of the international organization, noting that the attack by the terrorists was regrettable. President Buhari thanked the UN for what it had been doing in the country, especially for women and children. He expressed happiness that the UN had put together a dedicated team to work with Nigeria. That has been the news from Standard Voice Television. To end the news, a quick look at the major headlines. 3 died and a number of houses and farmlands destroyed in Zamfara deadly downpour. President Buhari receives gold and precious stones from Governor Matawale. Federal government releases 14.9 billion naira for retirees' accrued right on business. Small and medium enterprises have been described as engine of economy. And on the international scene, Mali talks end with no decision on transitional government. That's news on behalf of the production crew and head of News and Current Affairs Department, Alhaji Ibrahim Garoba Tunau. I still remain Mosajo Onyoda. Stay tuned.